Hello and welcome to Transistor. But wait, didn't I make a video about this back in January, you might ask? And you'd be right, yes I did. I did do that thing. However, there's three reasons for this video. One, my GPD Win 2's BIOS had a few settings wrong, and so it never ever went above 5 watts no matter what PDP I set in Windows or in XTU. And two, I was in the middle of the game and hadn't played for several years, and so I had forgotten all about my abilities. More on that later. And so combat was very frantic, hectic, and discombobulating for me. And three, the game is right now, as of the recording of this video, free on the Epic Store, which is awesome, and you really should go get it. No matter your feelings on the Epic Store, just having it, like, attaching it to your account is a good thing, and you don't actually have to download the Epic Store's client in order to do that. So, when you feel comfortable enough downloading the Epic Store client and installing it, and you'll have this game. So, it's a good thing. And, yeah, so I didn't really feel that the old video did the game justice. There are a few other games, like Far Lone Sails, that run far better when you have more than 4.5 to 5 watts running in the machine. Now then, gameplay-wise, let's actually go into the settings a little bit first. Vibration off, great. Full screen on or off, there's no borderless windows, sadly. I would really have liked to see that. The gamepad works flawlessly. The game does also come on the PlayStation 4, so gamepad support is like a given, and it works great. Resolution is a problem. You can't set it. I believe it's set to 720p by default, but yeah, you can't downscale it. Possibly there's some INI somewhere that you can edit if you want, but yeah. Also, languages. And there we go. Let's check our abilities. And here they are. This is rather a lot, isn't it? You only start with Crash and Breach, however, and then they slowly, each time you level up, you get one more ability, and you get to choose which ability you get at that point as well. So you're entirely in control over what abilities you get and when. Yeah, let's have a look. I'm going to remove this. Go like so. Now, if I put it in an active slot, there, and press 5, that's just normal Breach. Crash. However, if I put it in another ability, then all of a sudden, if I put it in Spark here, Spark will briefly make targets more vulnerable to other functions. It's awesome. Crash on its own, harm and disrupt nearby targets, exposing vulnerabilities. So I can either put it in another ability or on its own, and then I can put any ability into it. So basically, all of these abilities can be used with other abilities. And if I could take away this, now I can summon a friend. And there we go. But we're not in combat, so he doesn't stick around very long. If I, on the other hand, put it in Spark here, Spark will gain a 50% chance to add to prevent cells from spawning. Cells I'll talk more about when we get into the combat, or I can put it in a passive slot. Gain 25% chance to become a super user on using turn. Now what's turn, you might ask? Turn is this. This. Here, in combat, I can either do basically anything I want, run around, or press left trigger to forget about that. Now, I've run around, I've pinged 3 times, and let's see what happens. It does it all in very quick succession, and then there's a cooldown effect, and then I can use turn again if I want. And that's turn, so anytime I use turn, I have a 25% chance to become a super user. Which, well, we'll probably encounter that. Basically, I'll do a ton of damage, essentially. Now, in the access point, this is also how you save, by the way. Now, I can inspect functions. So Crash is linked to the main character. Interesting. And I can read about her. And the more I use the ability, or in the more varied ways I use the ability, the more detail I get. I can have a look at here. So for instance, I can tell that I've used it as an active slot, which is just like a main ability. I've used it as an upgrade slot, which augments other abilities, but I haven't used it as a passive slot yet. Now, upgrades. This is what all of the other abilities do when you put them in Crash. So if we use Crash with Breach, or Breach with Crash, depending on how you look at it, Crash will fire farther and with more velocity. If I put Ping in Crash, Crash will be more efficient to plan during turn and faster in real life. Nice. You can just go through all of the abilities and see how they all work together. If we look at Breach...
Guess I'm not supposed to be here. Not that anyone else is.
Mr.
So
Nobody.
they got any dirt on me?
Yeah. And then we have limiters. This is a holdover from Supergiant's first game, Bastion, where you could activate certain limiters to make yourself weaker or enemies stronger to gain more XP. So here, the process will spawn shielded cells when terminated, meaning you have to attack all of the cells before you pick them up, or the process will strike with twice as much power, so you get 4% more XP from that though, which is, you know, might be worth it if your ability is up to the task. You can unlock these as you level up as well. You don't get one every level, but every other level. Also, if you look to the left, you have a bar of some kind under Mem. That's how much memory you have to spare, and I have 20 memory right now. And if you look here at Crash, it has 1 pip. That means it takes up 1 memory. And Breach here takes up 3. So you have to be a little economizing. Now, Help here takes 4, so it's a powerful ability. Same for Void. But really, you have to plan quite extensively. But, yeah, worth it. Now then, let's see. Let's go have some combat, I guess. This is the process. It's pulsing with the music. That's pretty awesome, actually. Oh, enemies. And now we're in combat. Ooh, there's more than... Uncertainty generator. That's great. Basically, these guys will cause me to not be able to see the entire gaming field. Let's see what we can do. Let's put a ping there. And let's crash it. And then void.
You're trying to get in your head.
That didn't do much, sadly. Oh. There we go. Whoa. Spark does 60 damage, but I don't think Crash stacks. Let's put 2 voids on it. No. Oh, weakened Crash does not stack. Void stacks, however. Now it's trying to flee from me. Backstab, shifted. I guess. Let's try it. Start with. Yes, okay, so. I'm gonna have to go back and play around with my abilities some more. I'm going to... Yeah. Yeah, I think this will have to do better. So, pull them in, and then weaken them, finally kill them. Yeah. Oh, we have a save point here too. Good. And more in. Oh.
Excuse us.
Yeah.
That's that.
Yeah. That works out pretty good, I feel. Let's see what else we have on here.
The town's passed. It's all on the books. Getting wiped out.
Pretty much, this is an apocalypse.
Like that one. That's two. Big door downstairs ought to be open now. Take us straight to Asher and Grant's hideout on the roof.
There we go. Also, if you die, or die is not the correct term, if you take more damage than you can deal with, you will be automatically put into turn mode so that you have a chance to survive. But if it happens when turn is on cooldown, you will break one of your abilities. So, for instance, you might lose Crash or Breach or any one of the abilities you're using, which will be difficult depending on which it is. So, like for instance, if I were to lose my main damaging ability, it would be very hard for me to win, but not always entirely impossible. And then you have to visit a certain number of access points in order to unlock the ability again.
Let's get back to the concourse.
Well, we have some enemies anyway. Actually, quite a lot of it. A jerk, some photobombers, and Plucker. Also a cheerleader to the top left. I don't know what that after image running across the screen is. It might be like my movements at some point. I don't know. Anyway, let's just have some fun. Towing beam. Okay, that's basically it'll be able to... Oh yes, it'll be able to drag me in closer, which is really bad. But now, when you want to use an ability, you can either just press it, or you can hold down and aim it. In real-time combat, this is not advisable, but you can do it. Let's see... that, and then that.
Hands off, jerk.
Towing beam, right. That way and that way. Wait, am I killing everything right now? Alright. Not quite. Oh, I'm about to die. See? Void lost. Right, great. Wait, did I lose both of them? No, this... okay. This time around, I gained Super User, which is basically a huge AoE. I can use, however... Yes, I'm probably going to kill both of these. Actually, why am I not... There we go. Now I think I'm killing both of them. I'm just gonna go in here and relax for a bit. This is the back door. Here you can play with Luna if you want, or you can go into these doors and do some tests, I guess. instance, if we go in here, and wait a bit for the loading screen.
Let's see what you got.
Right, let's just set up the ones I used. Let's just see what happens.
Punching bag for you.
There. Now, last turn I did 712 damage to these guys. Now I'm going to do a bit more, I think. Let's actually move over here. Okay, so bounce takes a lot more than... And I'm just gonna do this instead. Oh wow, well... That's one way to do more damage, I guess.
Looks promising. Maybe not for your
That's
knees.
better. There are people who have made, like, done millions of damage though, so... Yeah. Then again, I'm only halfway into the game. And every time you find a new entrance into the sandbox and during gameplay, some of these doors will open. And you can enter them to do tests. That will give you XP, but also teach you about abilities. Such as, kill all of these enemies using only these 2 or 3 abilities. And you have to figure out the synergy to kill everyone as quickly as possible. Or survive for 1.5 minutes using only these abilities. It's, some of them are really hard, some of them are really easy. Some of them are just tricky, I guess. Kind of like gotcha, but once you figure them out, it's fun. And also you have... Hello, Luna. Also have a music player here.
Who's a good girl?
Luna is, obviously. Also Red is a good girl. And that's a good segue to talk about the music. It's sublime. It's just like Bastion's soundtrack. It's awesome. When the game first came out, like, I bought the soundtrack immediately, no questions asked, and just... It's been in my iPhone ever since. And speaking of the iPhone, the game is available on iOS, and it runs better on my phone than it does on this computer, which is kind of weird, but it might be resolution-wise, resolution thing, considering the iPhone's resolution is not 720p, I think. At least mine isn't. And might be that, but I don't think so. It's a little depressing, honestly. Because you need 10 watts to play this game well, and that means using up your battery really quickly. And you still only get in the like high 40s frames per second. Sometimes when... Oh, hello. Sometimes in turn you'll get up to 60, but Yeah. It runs fairly well, but it requires a lot of power. Also, you have a dedicated humming button. Always the diva. And you have a flourish button as well. I don't really know what it does, except look cool, but yeah. Let's leave. I think this is the end of the video. Bullet points. For the GPD Win 2, it runs very hot while playing this game. Well, not very, I mean, it's within tolerance. And you need a very high wattage to make it run well. But it does run. And the gamepad is awesome, and yeah. It looks great. It's a little depressing that it runs better on my iPhone than it does on this, considering this is so much more powerful. But there you go. Story is awesome. A bit depressing at times, but awesome. And yeah. And like I said, it's free right now, so go get it. And yeah. In conclusion, Comet Red.